days ahead, as long as we remember the center idea that made America so different, and as long as we don't follow the bad idea of trying to kick God out or scream and yell to get him to go away from our convention, I don't think we want to be doing that. I think we want to remember who we are, stay strong, and trust in him. In terms of our election, things have been going great. We've been at all kinds of stops, lots of people turning out, very, very good support. A lot of times people stand up and applaud when I come in, and I feel like I probably should just get on the bus and go because they're going to mess it all up, you know. We've had Newt Gingrich was in on Monday. I just talked to Rick Santorum. He's going to be coming into the state for us. And a number of other senators. Jim DeMint is on board, and more people are starting to say, wait a minute, let's not forget about Missouri. You know, this is a race that's going to count, and I have every belief that we will beat Claire McCaskill. I really believe we will. Without your help, though, so I need everybody on board. I want you to talk to your friends, neighbors, get them old bumper stickers out, get the yard signs out, and everything. I don't know if I missed anything. I guess I'm supposed to ask for money, too, along the line. Don't forget to do some of that. But I'd be happy to take a couple questions, and then we're going to have to roll along. Yes, you're first or second?
We are giving $3 billion in aid to Pakistan. That's enough to pay by 7, which is sorely needed.
Repeat the question.
I'll repeat the question for you. The fact is that we're giving, is it $3 billion to Pakistan? Yeah. I think we need to take enough to pay by 7. Okay. I think we need to take a very good look at that. Last week, our office issued a press release to say that we should be withdrawing the funds, or at least temporarily removing the funds from Egypt along the same lines. Are these people really our friends? First off, a nation has an obligation, if they're a civilized nation, to protect our embassy. And we put people to protect the inside of it, but the outside is the job of the people. And I think you raise a good question. And the situation in Pakistan is a little weirder because we're in Afghanistan and all. But the question is, are they friends really? Or are they people we need to be giving that money to? I think it's a very good question, and I think that you're, you know, probably right on the right track in terms of dealing with Pakistan. Now, they've been friendlier since 9/11, but I mean, who were they sheltering? You know. So, friends, I'm not sure. Yes, sir.
When you're elected senator, will you lead the charge?
I like the premise, the way the question started.
Will you lead the charge to demand an investigation of the meltdown of 2008 that both parties they've turned their back on that,
Okay.
and reinstall the Glass-Steagall Act, because that has a tremendous bearing on the equities market, the retirement benefits of most everybody, and maybe not some of the governmental employees, because their retirement is in the jeopardy.
Your question, you ought to get an A for the quality of the question, aside from the premise that I was going to be the senator, okay? Glass-Steagall was the right way to go. Instead, we went with Dodd-Frank, which is the solution to everything we've seen in this administration, which is more government, more Washington, more taxes, more regulation.
More cost.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get to. Yeah, so basically what happened with the last big crash in 2008, this was caused by the government. It was caused by failed government policies. It was one of my examples of the fact that the federal government's doing a lot of things it shouldn't be doing. In this case, it was home mortgages. And so we created Freddie and Fannie and set up a system that encouraged people to try to defy the laws of mathematics. And you saw how well it worked. And to try to then repeat that experience and saying, oh, well, good, the government did such a mess out of home mortgages, let's give them charge of health care as well. This is doubling down on failure, and it's foolish. And you're right, Glass-Steagall was the right way to deal with that, and I won't go into the details of that because they tell me I shouldn't get into details of that. And the other thing, too, is we ought to take Freddie and Fannie and carve it up in pieces and putting that in the private sector instead of having to, because the problems that were created in 2008 are still there. We haven't, I've been an engineer, it drives me crazy. We didn't solve the problem. We're just trying to put a facade over the front of it that's gonna turn right around like a snake and get us again.
Again.
That's
sometime
right.
In the future.
You're right. So your question is good, you're right. Glass-Steagall was the right solution, Dodd-Frank was the wrong solution. Very good. Take one more question. Is this a media question?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna wait on the media. Where did Ryan go? You tell us how many you want to do media. I just want to do the people came to the rally, and we usually do the press at a different time, a little later, so, okay.
I think you believe in what you're saying because you don't even have to use a teleprompter. But my question is, when you get into the Senate, what do you think about term limits?
Term limits in the Senate. You know, that's a good question, and it was such a good question. You know, we started working on it right off the bat. The people that wrote the Constitution, they took a good look at it. And their gut on it was, their take was, probably the best way to deal with it is allow the citizens every election to do the term limiting. That was the way the founders came out on it. We have implemented it in Missouri. I used to be a Missouri state rep. My gut on the thing is what you're doing is you're shifting power. See, term limit shifts power from what? You're elected representative, like I'm a congressman. You elect me, what, every 2 years? If I don't do the job, if I'm like Claire McCaskill and thumb my nose and vote for Obamacare, when you say you don't want it, you have a solution to that problem, right? You let me go find a job in the private sector, okay? And that's how the current system works. Now, what happens is if you do term limits, you transfer authority more to the executive branch and to all those administrative agencies that we're supposed to be watching over and keeping them from being so troublesome. And so if you have somebody with less experience, they don't know the administrative agencies, and you have people that have been in there forever, and they just keep on going and keep on going. So the founders had a certain amount of wisdom, and term limits it's a transfer of power away from the legislative branch more to the executive branch. So you think, which are you more concerned with? The people you can change every 2 years or every 4 years or 6 years, or the people that are those agencies that never change? And how you decide that question then comes whether it's a good idea or not. Okay, I got one more question, and then were we gonna do a minute or two of the meeting afterwards?
Yeah, if everyone can come see me, we'll circle up here, but then I'd like you to be able to meet and talk to people.
Yeah, in the back.
What's your position on the National Authorization Act, in the National Defense Authorization Act?
NDAA.
Correct.
Okay, well, I guess it's not a position in a sense because that's the act that basically funds the Department of Defense every year, okay? So as long as you believe that we should have a military, then you have the NDAA, which is the way that we authorize the spending for defense overall. I suspect your question is looking at the I think it was the 010 or 011 NDAA, and particularly the provisions in there that people are worried about, about federal troops arresting U.S. citizens.
December 31st vote.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's very concerning.
Okay, now here's the deal on that, because I was worried about it too. The bill came over from the Senate and it was not clear in that regard. Now, first of all, if it was not clear, it still would have been unconstitutional. So let's remember your first line of protection is the U.S. Constitution that says that no U.S. troops can arrest U.S. citizens. I mean, generally speaking, obviously, if you work if you're in the military and you're driving along at 160 on your motorcycle, you know, you can be arrested. But I'm talking about in general, okay? So first of all, the Constitution is our protection. The Senate version of the bill, it was not quite clear where that was. And they also had the legalization of bestiality, which is a pretty weird thing, okay? And so I'm on the House side of the negotiations in that. So we got rid of the bestiality thing, and we put two specific provisions in saying that no U.S. troops can arrest U.S. citizens. Now, we thought we'd done a pretty good job, but a lot of people in Missouri thought we hadn't done too good a job. And they said, I don't like the fact that you voted for the final version of NDAA. So this year when we did it, we thought, we're going to do even better. And so I wrote letters to the chairman of the committee that I work for. And we literally took the language in the U.S. Constitution on, it's what's called habeas corpus. And we literally copied the Constitution into the NDAA bill and made it clear that that supersedes any other sort of policies. So that's what we did. at that
McCaskill voted for that raw form on December 31st.
Yeah, she has some interesting votes. Yeah, she has some interesting votes, and, yeah. Okay, I think that was the last question, so I'm gonna do some hello. Hi, Deb.
Do you know when the last date you registered to vote for this election is?
October 10. What does that mean, Deb?
Well, it means I have packets over here for everybody to pick up and take home with them to register people to vote at their churches this Sunday and next Sunday. So just come see me after we're done.
Now, you may think all the good people that you know or that your friends are all registered to vote because you just know they love red, white, and blue. But what you will find is your average church, for instance, maybe 55% are registered, but almost half the churches are not. And many of your friends, they may be interested in politics, talk about policy with you, and you find out they're not registered to vote. And how can you find out whether they're registered or not, Deb?
Well, we have it all, just come see me afterwards. We have it all in here in the packet. You can look up your church directory and see who's not registered to vote and post it this Sunday and say, hey.
This is absolutely important. You know, our country, the country we love, is hanging in the balance right now. And it's all up to us. It's up to the people around us. Are we gonna stand up for the country we believe in? Or are we just gonna quietly just turn it over to be like one of the European countries that's just buried to death? Bev, you're the key person in that. Thanks. Hey, thanks everybody for coming out. And good time to see you.
And I'll just go to the court.